Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Excel 10 Minute Leaders Live. My name is Graham Brown, joining the dots today for accounting professionals by name and nature, Roger Knecht. Roger, welcome to the show.
Welcome, and yes, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Which part of the world are you dialing in from, if I can use that old school terminology?
United States, we're here in the state of Utah.
Fantastic. All right, then, Roger, we have 10 minutes together. Are you ready?
I'm excited for this. Yes, I'm very ready.
Let's do it. Let's do the business cards first. Do you have one? If you do, what does it say?
I do. It says President, Universal Accounting Center. And as a little catchphrase, it basically says helping accounting professionals build the premier accounting firm in their area.
What is the problem with accounting professionals? Why do they need that help? These are smart guys. They're well educated.
Great question. The idea is I think too often when starting their business, they fail to recognize that they're truly entrepreneurs. I think they too often refer to themselves as accountants. And what we try to do is help them realize that they're really what we refer to as accountrepreneurs.
So, what is the difference between an accountrepreneur and an accountant?
I think they get caught up too much in wanting to do the work and not taking the pleasure and joy of actually the people side of the business, which is first of all the marketing and selling, getting out and actually working with business owners. And then on the flip side, it's doing more than just providing financial reports. It's literally now working with that business client in more of a capacity such as a mentor, advisor, or coach.
It's strange, isn't it, that a profession such as accountancy, which you would assume would be that person for other businesses, apart from doing the ledger, they're also advising them on more strategic. You look at the accounting firms have grown into more management consultancies over time. You assume that that's in their nature, but when it comes to their own business, they don't think that. Do they think, for example, you mentioned sales and marketing, is there sort of a natural disposition that sales is not what they do or below them, in a sense that I didn't go to accounting school to do sales?
Well, many of them never received any formal training on how to properly market or sell any product or service. So for them, this is very foreign. And oftentimes they go through maybe what Michael Gerber referred to, a technician going through an entrepreneurial seizure. And what we're trying to describe, or actually he says it's a technician going through a seizure. But the point is they actually start their business typically with the intent of servicing friends and family. And really what becomes an issue is, how do I grow this business? How do I truly market this beyond just getting referrals? How do I price my services? How do I get paid fairly for the work that I'm doing? How do I offer quality value to my clients so that they can see the worth in what I'm doing? Those are questions that typically come later after they've begun working with a few clients.
What has changed then for this generation of accountants? If we go back a generation, I would imagine that a lot of professional services firms would have relied on renewals, or maybe they were the accountant in that town and therefore they were the natural go-to. Today in 2021, is it a different landscape? Is it more complex? Is there different kinds of competition? What do they have to deal with?
You're looking at a lot of change. If you went back far enough, you would actually speak with CPAs or chartered accountants that would talk of not being able to market their services, much like many legal firms years ago. Now they're able to market and sell services, and so they're not entirely referral based. The other part of the landscape that's changed is technology. You have to realize that I'm at least old enough, and many other people are, where they've recalled seeing technology include like maybe a software application coming onto the scene, and learning a software that may be used for the accounting. One of the things that I think is now becoming more relevant is there's a lot of technologies out there that integrate not just the receipts and the recording of the transactions, but it's also the forecasting and budgeting. And so the accountant has to see what is their relationship with the client when it includes technology, but they still remain relevant as the professional helping to interpret that data and understand that information, and more importantly, maintain the integration of that data. They've got to be the ones involved in making sure the data is coming in correctly. Garbage in is garbage out still.
One of the issues that must be on the horizon, on the radar of accountants, is machine learning. This idea that you could conceivably, in the near future, we're not talking a generation away, have a situation where an algorithm could do the accounts for a business, then that raises that question that you asked about what does that mean for the accountant staying relevant? If we get to a point in the foreseeable future where technology can do the mechanics of the accounts and do it automated and much cheaper and faster than a human being, what does that then mean for an accountant or an accountrepreneur? What do they need to be? What kind of skills do they need to learn?
Well, first of all, you're spot on. What's going on is a lot of people are trying to determine where they are relevant. The history of accounting used to be that we were recording historical data. Now, with technology, we're getting not historical data, but real-time data. Where the accountant is becoming more relevant is making sure that data is accurate, and more importantly, interpreting, helping to understand that data. The way I like to describe it is the role of the accounting professional is first and foremost that of an interpreter. Accounting is the language of business. A business owner isn't necessarily familiar with that language. And so we have to be that translator to help them notice what is being communicated by the business through that accounting information for the business owner to make more informed business decisions. The second part is the tax. We've got to understand that we still have to maneuver the tax liabilities and help the business owner limit their legal tax liabilities to the point that they are still being compliant, but doing so effectively. And what we're trying to do is now, as an accounting professional, get away from just providing financial reports, but now involving ourselves and integrating ourselves a little bit more with our clients to help them more intelligently run their businesses.
And that means understanding the client now, because your tax situation and my tax situation, even if we had the same company, are different. So we're going to have different objectives. So that accountant now needs to know and build a relationship, I guess, with the client.
Well, the other thing here is our businesses might be very similar, but your tax strategy might be different than my tax strategy. It might be that I'm trying to limit my tax liabilities simply because I want to, as much as possible, show that I'm not very profitable. But if I'm going to be selling the business or exiting, or maybe I want to get some investment, or perhaps I'm trying to get some loans and such, well, I need to now show that my business is profitable and doing very well. So it depends on what story we're trying to tell, and the accountant can help at least influence that narrative.
Interesting. These are not words that you would hear normally in, I don't know if they call it accounting school, but wherever you study accountancy. Narratives, influence, even going back to being an interpreter. This must challenge a lot of accountants to think differently about what they do, right? And I imagine that's, for a lot, I suppose it's an exciting challenge, right? That they don't want to fill spreadsheets all day. They want to get more hands-on with people.
Initially, a lot of the accounting professionals may be drawn to the profession because of the mathematics of it. It's basically numbers and it's absolutes, and you're able to kind of find the discrepancies, and that's a success that you're able to experience. But in reality, what accounting is today is, it's like you said, listening to the client, understanding their needs, helping them realize what the challenges are that they're facing in cash flow management and how to actually navigate that process. It is a complex puzzle. And as an accounting professional, if you're willing to listen and get involved with your client, it can be a very rewarding experience and relationship. And that's what's fun.
It's the evolution. And they need people like you to help them lead them, in many cases, to that next level as well. Interestingly, that in the 19th century, I believe the word computer related to a person, somebody who sat day in, day out and computed sums. So you can imagine maybe there is a time in the future as well, we're evolving to that point where, the people who will evolve and do thrive in this technological era are the ones that have all those skills that you mentioned as well. And a lot of it will be done in a split second by software. And a lot of it as well is being done by that now as well. So I think accountants are being challenged, but for those that get it right, there's a huge opportunity to add value to a business. So it's a fascinating area. Roger, before I ask you to share some info about where we find out more about you. I don't know if you know, but today is, well, here in Asia at least, and tomorrow for you, it's World Youth Skills Day. And according to the United Nations. And as somebody that educates accountants, I'm sure a lot of kids growing up don't grow up wanting to be accountants, but they want to grow up to help businesses as well. And accounting is a great way of doing that. What would you teach the next generation coming into the world of business, small business owners, people who may be going into professional services, maybe like following their parents or wanting to do something to help businesses? One skill.
The one skill I would teach them is that accounting is the language of business. If you can just have a basic understanding, a vocabulary of what a debit, a credit, what cash flow is, just the vocabulary is enough that you can then have an intelligent conversation with your accountant, with the tax preparer. All of a sudden, as a business owner, you're in a position where it doesn't matter what role you have in the company. A child can pursue many professions, and whether it be mechanics, engineering, doctors, dentists, at the end of the day, there's still numbers involved in business. And if you're an office manager and you understand just the terminologies, the business model made up through accounting, you're going to do just fine.
Great advice. Roger Knecht, everybody. Where do we connect with you? Where do we find out more about you and your work?
Thank you. It's universalaccounting.com. Just go to universalaccounting.com and you can see what I have and what I do for accounting professionals.
Fantastic. Roger, thank you for joining us on Excel 10 Minute Leaders Live today.